The Stack. People, Business, Technology. With Dan Tomaszewski of Everything MSP.
Hello, everybody. Dan Tomaszewski here with Everything MSP. Welcome to another episode of The Stack, where we focus on people, business, and technology. Today, I am joined by Matt Jesbeck with MSPX. Yeah. How are you doing today?
I'm good, Dan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, we are here live at GTIA's ChannelCon 2025.
Yep.
And how's the event been going for you?
It's been great. It's been 3 days of just conversations, connections.
Nonstop, right?
Nonstop.
Yeah.
Every night I get back to the hotel, I feel like I have to gargle salt because my throat's sore.
Exactly.
So it's been amazing.
Yeah, my ears are hurting a little bit from the
Me too.
mixing.
Yes, Trace Atkins and Rascal Flatts. Yeah, that was
it was awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, it was. Yeah, we were right up on stage. I got some good pictures.
Awesome. Yeah. And so we were chatting just a little bit, learning a little bit about MSPX, and you know, I think what you guys you're doing is pretty incredible. You know, we all talk about, you know, the clients that we have. I think MSPs are very hungry and eager to take on anybody that's willing to sign a check.
Absolutely.
And, you know, you do find that, you know, a client might not be the right fit for you.
Right.
And you saw
there's a solution for that.
Absolutely
right. Yes.
So can you tell us a little bit about, you know, where you saw that opportunity to be able to help MSPs?
Absolutely. So we had seen it just in a local MSP that my business partner was working for. He was an MSP director. One of his projects was just to go through their portfolio of clients and determine ABC rankings, right? And he had done that, and was looking at these C clients, and they're C clients because they're either low margin or no margin, or they were in a vertical that they were, as an MSP, trying to move away from, or they're just below that minimum seat count. And then, of course, every now and then you've got that cultural friction, and that can just arise because it's just, again, a bad fit culturally.
Yeah.
But whatever the case may be, I think he had landed on 4 or 5 that he needed to essentially fire. But he didn't want to call them up after years of them trusting that MSP and just say, hey, it's not you, it's us, but, you know, we got to let you go.
Right.
It generates, you risk bad word of mouth. No one wants that in their community, right? Because referrals are the lifeblood of many MSPs. And we can't have that happen. And also then they were going to lose whatever revenue they were making from that contract when they let that customer go. So it is a tough situation all the way around. So he goes to the internet, does a search, and couldn't find any resource to actually offload and transition a customer to another vetted MSP and get some money for it. So then he called me up. I looked around, couldn't find anything. We decided we need to build this marketplace.
Okay.
And then through research, we come to realize that this type of practice has been happening in the MSP industry for decades, but it's been very fragmented. It's been through message boards, forums, peer groups, and sometimes MSPs making friendly with other MSPs in their own backyard and saying, hey, I'm going to fire a customer. I'm going to recommend them to you, though. So if you do pick them up, we'd like to cut, right? So those kind of things that are very back channel and sketchy. You just never know.
Right.
What we have sought to do because of his situation, so this was just born out of an absolute need. We weren't going looking for anything. It just presented itself. We decided to build a marketplace that puts structure and security and transparency around this entire process.
Okay.
Because we have determined that it happens enough, not just in America, but worldwide, that we can actually have a flourishing ecosystem with this.
So, you know, a lot of times on our weekly calls, we, you know, have conversations with various MSPs that say, you know, I have a client I need to fire. They're just not a fit for us.
Right.
And, you know, and I think it comes across in a way that, you know, I've got to fire the client. It's a bad thing.
Yeah.
And it's not necessarily mean.
No, exactly. And I can use the car analogy when I say, when you go to the dealership and you trade in your car, it's not because it's broken. It's because you've outgrown it, or it's just no longer fits your needs, right? And so there can be several reasons why you would want to list a contract or fire a customer, right? But there's a better way to do that now, because those contracts, they're hard earned. I mean, whether it came through a referral or whether it was through a long tail sales cycle, right?
Sure.
That still took time and money to get.
Yeah.
So MSPs, like, you know, and rightfully so, are certainly slow to let someone go.
Right.
But the the fact of the matter is that contract is not just a commitment, it's currency.
Yeah.
Right? On our marketplace, that is a tradable asset. It's got value.
Right.
So even if you're at a low or a no margin with a customer, that contract still has a monetary value that another maybe smaller MSP or better suited MSP would pick up and love all day long. And so why just fire the customer, risk bad word of mouth, and walk away? Why leave money on the table?
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you can take that money and you can either reinvest it and buy a contract on the marketplace and perhaps a vertical that you're good at, geographic area you'd like to move into, or just buy for growth, right? Or you can just take that money and do something else with it, right?
Yeah.
But the bottom line is it's money for you, it's security for the customer so they feel like they've been taken care of,
right?
And it's a new contract for the buyer.
Absolutely. And what have you seen as being the primary reasons that an MSP wants to, we'll say, fire the client, walk away from the client?
Again, typically the primary reasons are going to be when they analyze their book of business. You're always analyzing margin, right? I mean, margin's huge. You need to know where you stand on a contract. And everybody has a number they don't want to fall below.
Sure.
And when that number falls below, you have the option of setting up a technology business review or maybe just a meeting with that customer and say, look, we've been servicing you for this long. We've taken good care of you. We have a good relationship, but I can no longer service you at this price point.
Right.
So we're going to need to bump you up. And some customers will be absolutely okay with that. And some, just for whatever reason, affordability, or they just don't value the IT that highly, are just not going to come along for the ride. So when that happens, you are presented with, well, do I just fire them or do I put them on the marketplace?
Right.
So generally, to answer your question, it's going to be margin. Margin's a big driver. And then again, maybe vertical, like in the case of my son, business partner, who's also my son, who was their MSP was moving away from the whole VoIP thing. Okay. Right. They didn't want to really service VoIP customers anymore. And they had a handful that they had taken on in those years, but they wanted to move away from that.
Okay.
And so that's another reason. So if you're just kind of moving your vertical shift, realigning, if you will. And so that's another reason. Yeah. And then again, you've always got the cultural friction that can come into play too. And that can just be behavioral, because maybe your MSP early on wasn't good about establishing guardrails and structure. And so your customer learned bad behavior. Yeah. And now you can't untrain that.
Yep.
So maybe they just need to be moved on.
And, we all are looking to grow our organizations. Yes. MSPs are looking for new business, and it takes time and money to be able to do that.
Yes.
And the mindset might be, wow, if there was somebody that wanted to get rid of one of their clients because they're no longer a fit, maybe a different vertical, whatever the case may be, there really isn't a resource out there. I mean, maybe someone that
maybe you know
fellow
someone.
MSP.
Maybe you're part of a peer group. Maybe maybe there's a forum or a message board that you could post on. You can get Reddit. I need to get rid of this customer. Whatever. There are other. Again, it's back channel. It's shady. It's unsecure. Right. With our marketplace, we're offering not only that structure and transparency, but escrow. So when a buyer interfaces with the seller and they've transacted right through, think about an eBay model, it's either a bid or a buy now, that money goes into escrow, and then they're presented with the transition dashboard that they walk through that keeps the buyer and the seller in lockstep. Timing for messaging to the customer, because that contract ultimately ends up always tracing back to a customer who might have an opinion on the situation. So messaging is critical. If you can message that customer at the right time during the right process, then you can prevent that churn. And that's what we really try to pride ourselves on, is just being really tight in that transition process to get that customer from the seller to the buyer successfully.
How about for an organization that's looking to scale their organization, but it doesn't necessarily need to be in their own marketplace, their own geography?
Absolutely, right. Distributed workforces, that's a big thing these days, right? Especially post-COVID, right? Yeah. We see that more and more, because I think we've had more and more leadership realize, hey, I don't really need an office. They don't have to be here to prove to me that they're being productive. Yeah. I can see that in other ways. Yeah. So there's cost savings there to not have to have overhead for leasing and water coolers and all that, right?
Right.
So in that instance, and to your point, you can easily find a contract listed on the marketplace. Maybe that customer's in Richmond, Virginia, but you're in Wyoming. Well, on our marketplace, every listing is basically a card, and you can see all of the details. And one of the things that you can see at a glance is not only where that customer is, but if it's remotely manageable, or if it is more on site.
So you have that granular.
Exactly, and so you can filter for all that. And so so it really not only does it bring security and structure, but it brings exposure and just the ability to open up the entire market to not just your backyard.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Excellent. So for an MSP that wants to learn more about you, what's the best approach there?
I would. So our new landing page just launched last week.
Okay.
You can go there. There are copious amounts of information. Our resource page is rich for buyers and sellers and a whole bunch of legal considerations when thinking about either buying or selling on our marketplace. There are several intro videos that go through the process. Our landing page is very clear and easy to understand.
Okay.
We also have a valuation calculator. So if you're an MSP right now thinking about that customer in your head, or maybe a few that you want to list on the marketplace, you can go to www.mspx.store, go to the free valuation calculator, put in the details of the contract, and it will give them an excellent report of the range you might expect to list that contract for on the marketplace, as well as a risk score that's assigned to that, an explanation of why that valuation was assigned, and even ways that you can improve your valuation through the contract, right?
Excellent.
And then at that point, you can either evaluate another contract or you can list it. Now, our marketplace doesn't open until September 15th.
Okay.
And so on September 15th, everything goes live. Right now, though, we have a 2-tier subscription model, either general access or premium first look.
Okay.
But that premium first look is currently, before the marketplace opens, at the price of the general access. You also get a handful of other perks that are totally worth it to be part of our founders circle, but we've limited it to 200 subscriptions. So either we hit 200 subscribers or we hit day 0 and the marketplace goes live September 15th.
Okay.
I would encourage you, if you think that you are going to be buying or selling a contract in the next 6 months, it is worth $299 to sign up to have access to this marketplace and watch it grow. I ask, please, that MSPs contribute to this marketplace, because as a community, it's either going to work because we all find value in it, or we're not going to have any participation.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
So again, we have wrapped security and structure and transparency around a process that has been happening in dark rooms for years. So we have to acknowledge that there's value in that.
Yeah,
right?
Absolutely. Matt, I want to thank you for your time.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Definitely a new way to consider the buying and selling of MSP contracts and at MSPX.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yes. Thank you, Dan.
Until next time, everybody, have a great rest of your day, and we will talk to you soon. Take care.
Thank you for listening to The Stack.